OpenAI just folded its dedicated safety division into research. So, what does that mean for your product's trust model? We're also talking about Grok 4.5 landing with public pricing and a big coding focus, plus how Google's new AI ad labels mean builders need compliance by design across 5 different platforms. No BS AI briefing brought to you by Proactive AI. Welcome back. I'm your host Vikash Sharma, and this is where builders get straightforward AI news without the fluff. All right, let's dive into the high signal items that are actually moving the needle for us builders. First up, we've got some big news from SpaceX AI. They've just launched Grok 4.5, and here's the kicker. It comes with public API access and clear pricing at $2 per million input tokens and $6 per million output tokens. In plain English, this means another major player is throwing its hat into the ring with a model designed for serious utility, and they're being transparent about the cost right out of the gate. For builders, the interesting part isn't just the price tag, but the model's lineage. It was trained on tens of thousands of NVIDIA GB300 GPUs, and they're claiming twice the token efficiency compared to similar models. What does that translate to for you? It's optimized for coding in Rust and C++, end-to-end app building, and agentic task execution. So you've got a new cost competitive option to experiment with, especially if your team is deep into full stack prototyping or exploring autonomous agent workflows. This is a model positioned to be a backbone for agents, not just a conversational tool. Next up, we're looking at OpenAI, and it's a significant internal shift that could have external implications. OpenAI announced the departure of its safety chief, Johannes Heidecker, and they're folding their dedicated safety division directly into the research organization. Now, this isn't an isolated incident. It follows a pattern of 6 safety leaders departing over the past 2 years. In plain English, a dedicated team focused solely on safety is being absorbed into the group building the models themselves. For builders, this governance shift may affect the consistency of guardrails and how rapidly safety policies evolve or are integrated into new models. If you're an enterprise operating in a regulated sector, you might need to reassess your trust and compliance assumptions with OpenAI's offerings. This leadership churn really signals that internal priorities are evolving, and it's something we should keep a close eye on, especially concerning how new capabilities are rolled out and if safety concerns are addressed proactively or reactively. Also, we've got Google mandating AI disclosure labels across a huge swathe of its ad platforms. A new AI label setting is rolling out across Google Ads, Display and Video 360, Campaign Manager 360, Merchant Center, and Ads Editor. Here's the catch. Google may also auto-apply non-removable labels where required by law, and they're referencing compliance for places like the EU, India, and New York. What does this actually mean for you? If you're generating or editing any ad creative with AI, you're going to need to explicitly flag it. And importantly, these labels don't just inherit across platforms, meaning you might have to manage them individually for each Google service you use. For ad tech builders and product managers, this means your tools and creative pipelines must now integrate these labeling fields and manage their state meticulously across multiple platforms. Those non-removable labels particularly raise the compliance stakes, really pushing compliance by design to become a central part of your creative development process. This isn't just a marketing hiccup, it's a systemic change to how ad content is created and published using AI. And finally, some fascinating news from the public sector. Saudi Arabia has debuted INSAIGHTS, a government-scale agentic AI. The Ministry of Economy and Planning launched a beta of this system on the Data Saudi platform. What is it? It's designed to answer natural language queries across more than 7,500 national indicators, all aligned with their Vision 2030 and National Transformation Program. In plain English, it's a massive smart assistant that can sift through and explain complex government data just by you asking a question. For builders, this is a strong use case demonstration. It shows us how to operationalize really large structured data sets within conversational workflows. More importantly, it demonstrates how agentic AI can handle complex, multi-step data queries at a genuinely state scale. Think about the implications for internal business intelligence tools or customer support systems that need to navigate huge knowledge bases. This is a real world example of that kind of capability being deployed today. Now, let's zoom in on one story that I think holds significant implications for many of us, especially those relying on foundational models for our products. OpenAI's safety restructuring and what it means for enterprise deployment. What happened, simply put, is that OpenAI has integrated its dedicated safety function directly into its research division. This wasn't just a simple reorg, it came on the heels of their safety chief, Johannes Heidecke, departing, and it's part of a broader trend where 6 safety leaders have left the company over the past 2 years. Essentially, the people solely focused on safety are now part of the team that's building and iterating on the very models that need safety guardrails. Why does this matter right now? Well, OpenAI is a primary vendor for a lot of teams out there. Any significant change to how they govern safety fundamentally affects your trust models and, frankly, your compliance strategies. If you're building on OpenAI's APIs, you're implicitly trusting their internal processes to keep things aligned and safe. This shift can impact the consistency of those guardrails and how rapidly they adapt to new risks. It's not just an internal HR matter, it's a market signal. Who should care about this? Founders, definitely, because your product's reputation can be tied to the reliability and safety of the foundational models you use. Product managers need to care because any changes in model behavior or safety parameters can impact user experience and the feature roadmap, particularly in sensitive areas. Engineering leaders and infra engineers, you should absolutely care, as you're the ones implementing these models and often responsible for putting additional safety layers in place. And yes, even indie hackers, if your project gains traction, you'll eventually face questions about your tech stack's safety posture. Everyone needs to understand that the assumptions you've made about OpenAI's internal safety apparatus might now need re-evaluation. How would I think about this as a builder? Look, on one hand, integrating safety directly into research could lead to faster iteration and more tightly coupled development, theoretically making safety an embedded part of the process, not an afterthought. That's the optimistic view. But the risk, of course, is that the very people building the powerful new capabilities might have an inherent bias towards rapid development over cautious deployment. As a builder, this means you can't assume a dedicated, independent safety oversight is as prominent as it once was. So, what do? Consider building your own robust monitoring and moderation layers on top of any base model. Don't outsource your entire safety strategy. Think of it as, if the foundational model provider is consolidating their safety oversight, it becomes even more important for you, the application builder, to have your own clear safety differentiators. This isn't about ditching OpenAI, it's about being strategically smart and resilient. My no BS take here is this. While the move is presented as an integration for efficiency, the pattern of leadership departures signals a challenging environment for safety advocates within OpenAI. Builders should treat this as a signal to solidify their own safety and compliance frameworks rather than solely relying on upstream vendors. Be proactive, don't wait for a public incident to force your hand. If you want one practical takeaway from today's episode, here it is. Experiment with Grok 4.5. Specifically, benchmark Grok 4.5 against your current leading model for a representative task in your product or internal workflow. Here's how to try it in under 60 minutes. First, pick a specific measurable task. Maybe it's generating a snippet of code, summarizing a user review, or extracting key data points from a document, something where you can objectively compare outputs. Second, run that task through your current model and get a baseline for latency, quality, and the per task cost. If you're on a subscription, estimate the cost based on token usage. Then run the exact same task through Grok 4.5 using its new public API. Pay attention to its $2 input and $6 output token pricing. Third, compare the results side by side. Is Grok 4.5 faster? Is the quality comparable or better? Especially for coding related tasks or agentic execution. And crucially, what's the dollar per task comparison? Why is this specific experiment worth your time right now? Because with Grok 4.5, claiming 2x token efficiency and being optimized for coding and agents, it could be a significant cost saver or performance booster for certain workflows. Even if it doesn't replace your primary model, you might find it excels in a specific niche or becomes a more economical choice for prototyping or background agentic tasks. This isn't about chasing the shiny new object, it's about pragmatic evaluation for potential cost savings and efficiency gains, which for any builder is always high signal. That's it for today's No BS AI briefing. If this helped, follow the show in your podcast app and share it with one builder you know. And if you've got questions or topics you want covered, connect with me on LinkedIn and send them over. See you in the next briefing.